Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Privacy Snapshot. And we're back here with Ben Isaacson, who is a luminary in our field of data privacy. We've known each other a long time, going back to, I think, our days at DoubleClick, my days at DoubleClick, where we first connected. So, Ben, you have had a lot of years working very specifically with, in the ad tech ecospace with companies who are trying to figure out the maze of regulations in this space. And one of the things that we've all noticed after the GDPR was the ubiquitous cookie banner. And it wasn't didn't necessarily pan out maybe for consumers the way we might have expected, but it became a useful tool to manage cookies and pixels and those kinds of technologies. So same thing's happening with CCPA. Companies are looking at, do I need a ban or don't I? And how do I manage this whole world of digital technologies with the regulators focused on it, a bit of uncertainty about what I need to do. And you and I have talked about this, and you have kind of 4 key areas that you walk through with companies and have them think about. So I'm just going to have you, this is a snapshot. We could talk about this for a few hours, but just give a high level overview of those 4 areas and what the key points that companies should be thinking about.
Yeah, thanks, Teresa. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. The first thing to keep in mind are there's amazing tools out there now that we just didn't have, a few years ago even. The first one is tag managers. And in the old days, whenever you wanted a cookie to be placed on your website, you had to hard code a pixel into the HTML, into the website itself. And those days are now gone, or can be gone. We still see a lot of old publishers doing it the old way, but there's a lot of tools like Google's Tag Manager, like Telium, that it becomes a bottleneck for use of a single point of governance for all of the pixel tags on your website. And they can change from any page to another page, but it still goes through that same tag manager. So the privacy professional can say, yes, I want this company to be on this page and not that company on this page, and actually play a role in managing privacy in real time. And those same tag managers also, many of them offer the consent management tool, or consent management platform, as they're now called, CMPs, that go with GDPR, or in some cases with CCPA, to say, we want to present this type of cookie banner to this type of user. And with the GDPR's evolution over the last couple of years, we're now seeing a requirement to really create preferences that go beyond just opt-in or opt-out, but rather personalization, advertising, analytics. So and even granular cookie-specific preferences. So the tools are extremely important to have both a tag manager and a consent management platform to be able to help you do global pixel and cookie compliance.
Yeah.
The second thing is to really vet each partner that you're allowing to place a pixel tag on your website. And specifically whether they have sub-processors or partners that they work with. The key term of art is piggybacking.
Yeah.
You don't want any cookie, pixel partner of yours to allow a third party to also place a pixel, because they can just automatically enable that to happen. And I've unfortunately seen a number of cases where it was unknown to a publisher or advertiser that some other company was sitting on top of their website collecting data, potentially for retargeting on other media. So getting a list of those partners and understanding what their core purposes are, and if there are tertiary purposes beyond just what you're hiring them for, that data could be used for. And again, coming back to this notion within the California law in particular, is this partner a vendor, or are like a service provider, or are they a third party? And this is a very important distinction to make, and that's why the third category is contracts. So in the contract, it must be crystal clear, is this a service provider relationship, or are you, am I essentially selling my data to you under the CCPA, and how do we work through managing that opt-out or data deletion, or any of the kind of sales requirements that are now inherent in the CCPA, which is for ad tech really the federal law at this point.
Okay.
And And then the last thing is auditing and tracking. So tools like Evidon lets you audit the pixels on your website. So you can actually go to evidon.com and test and plug in. You want to see all the different partners that show up, and hopefully all of them are under contract. But then you can also test with different tools the consent management process, and getting it from a lower percentage rate to a higher percentage rate simply by changing the positioning of the banner, changing the text of the banner, changing the creative, and looking for trends in how your consent is working. For the most part, we're seeing cookie consent, at least even for Europe, in the 90% range, which is pretty great depending on the publisher. But for most trusted publishers, they're getting a high quality consent. Same with the CCPA and the opt-out. It's extremely low that people are actually opting out. So trying to benchmark your own website versus these others is a good thing to do.
So thank you. That is some excellent advice there. I'll sum up the 4: using tag managers and consent management platforms, and there's lots of tools out there now to help organizations do this. Vetting your partners, that is so critical. We're just seeing so many privacy problems emerge because of those third parties, right? Your vendors. Looking at your contracts, and finally auditing and tracking your website itself. And so you spoke a lot to the use of tools, and I think this is new for us, right? You and I who've sort of grown up in the space, been in it for 20 plus years, we didn't have the luxury of automated tools. We were using Word documents and spreadsheets and policies and procedures. And so it's not a panacea, and it doesn't solve all the issues, but it's solving a lot of problems and creating more efficiency. And at Blue Sky Privacy, we do view it as our job to stay on top of this ever-changing privacy tech ecosystem and helping you properly evaluate tools out there and effectively optimize your use of them so that they don't end up being shelfware. So thank you, Ben, for joining us again. This was excellent. And for those of you looking for compliance support, we're here to help you at Blue Sky Privacy.
Thanks, Teresa.